Well, good afternoon. It's a privilege to be here with all of you and to have been brought together by so much spirit from the DC organizers and Cindy's very fine outreach to so many people. I'm here as part of the Witness Against Torture Fast, and it's been quite remarkable. I suppose one of the mantras, in a sense, that has been guiding us of late is to think of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's words that we should be people with tough minds and tender hearts. And so much of the mentoring, the thinking that's gone on here today has come from tough minds, and I'm grateful for that. One of the benefits of our community of Witness Against Torture Fosters is that more people come in. A downside of that is that as we all sleep on the floor at St. Stephen's Church, there's kind of a cacophony of snoring. And so I found myself a bit fitful last night, and our good friend, Father Bill Pickard, said try to think of it as an orchestra, so I'll try that again tonight. But while I was lying awake, trying to fall back asleep, listening to the snoring, I thought of a young boy. He's 17 years old. He lives in Mir Ali in North Waziristan, and he told an AP reporter, this 17-year-old young man, Isra Khan Dawar, that he lies awake at night and the drone sounds are getting closer and they're louder. And he knows that this means that maybe he or someone in his household is a target, and he's bracing himself to be hit by a Hellfire missile or a 500-pound bomb fired by a drone. When I was in Pakistan in May, a very brave man walked a long distance and took 2 buses to come and talk with us in Rawalpindi. It wouldn't have been safe for us to hear him, in a sense, in an out-front way because he was in danger for talking to Westerners. He was a survivor of a drone attack. I was so chilled reading the Time magazine article by Jane Meyer, a good magazine, New Yorker magazine article, one we should all read, I guess. But she mentioned that the people that are CIA analysts have a word for someone like our friend who survived a drone attack, who ran when the drone attacked. They call them squirters. And this brave man told us that 2 people had come into his village. They went to the home of the elders. They were strangers. But the time-honored custom of the village of Khaisor, a small village, a remote village, there's not even a road leading up to it. The time-honored custom is that when a stranger knocks on your door, no matter who they are, you feed them. You can't tell them go to the Hotel 6 or the 7-Eleven. And so they were fed and given beverage, and they were long gone. When at 4:30 in the morning, a drone attack hit that very home, killed 14 people. 2 of the village elders were killed. Children were dismembered and maimed. And I asked our friend, what do you do in a village with no road and no emergency medical technicians? And I was wearing a long scarf, and he said, just, madame, you see, we take the tabut and we wrap it as tight we can. And I imagine my long white scarf being blood-stained scarlet in seconds. And we try to save the people. Well, this kind of story goes on and on and on. And the CIA is endeavoring with great sophistication, using people with tremendous education, enormous resources, to gather intelligence. Now, they were able to spot Baitullah Masood, a Taliban leader whom they've been chasing for a long time, on a rooftop. Their screens showed him on an IV. His father-in-law and mother-in-law were medics. And as they were trying to save his life, I suppose, that's when the CIA targeted him, and they finally, I suppose, in their understanding, got the bad guy. Now, we should understand that that was their 15th attempt. In the 14 previous attempts, the people they got weren't the anticipated target. There were other people, and if they were in homes, they had children and family and relatives. We should also understand that the CIA agents, and I ask us please, in our tender hearts, remember the 9 families and friends and communities whose arms will ache lovingly for loved ones who will never return. Let us remember they were human beings. Those 9 CIA agents who were killed by Dr. Balawi, also a human being, a Jordanian man who had seen what happened in Gaza. And I was there during Operation Cast Lead. And yes, the bombs exploded once every 11 minutes. And yes, you could talk with people that were hit with white phosphorus. 1,400 lives lost. And we were complicit. But let me go back to the Jordanian doctor, al-Balawi. He apparently was feeding information to the man who replaced Baitullah Massoud and to the CIA agents. Now, the man who replaced Baitullah Massoud, Hakmullah Massoud, was by reputation somebody who was far more dangerous, somebody who was unpredictable, somebody who was very media savvy. And the information that was fed to the CIA agents gave the CIA agents names of so-called bad guys who were actually rivals of Baitullah and Hakmullah Massoud. So they used the CIA's drone bombings to pick off, to eliminate either people regarded as expendables or higher level people that were their own rivals. Now, as we examine this story, why are we being told that this program is a success?
Yeah.
Right.
What is successful is your security being enhanced as people all over the world increasingly regard us as a fearsome, menacing force. The CIA wants to know who are the bad guys. On this commemoration of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, how blessed we are. He asked the same question, but he really meant it. He wanted to know, who are our adversaries? What is their humanity like? How do they feel about us? He really wanted people to try to understand those who were designated at that time, the Viet Cong, as the bad guys, as people who are human beings with hopes and fears and dreams and children and families and lives. The same as us. Everybody in, nobody out. And so we have the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King available to be our chosen guide. Not to be guided by fear, never to be guided by hatred. To foster amongst ourselves those tough minds, those tender hearts, looking forward to the time when no 17-year-old will shiver in his bed, fearing that he'll be bombed in his sleep. Thank you.
Yay. Awesome. Thank you, Kathy. Like I said, we're very honored to have, such a wonderful, blessed woman here with us today. I want to be Kathy Kelly when I grow up. I'm going to have to stop cussing. Okay, she's going to take over the cussing duties. So we're going to wrap this up, but we're going to have Banjo Dan and David Rovics up to play one more song. And they're going to play a song together that they haven't rehearsed, but I just have a couple announcements. When they're done, we're going to go to the end right here. If you want to march over to Darth Cheney's house with us.
Yeah.
We'll be going down to the end, and after David and Banjo Dan sing. Also, Piece of the Action is having a meeting tomorrow at 3 at St. Stephen's Church in Washington, D.C. So if anybody wants to come and find out more about Piece of the Action, volunteer to help us. It's going to be one of the most enormous undertakings, and something that Dr. King was actually working on with his Poor People's Campaign before he was assassinated. I didn't even know that when I thought of it. So we will